Imagine a single stretch of water, just 33 kilometers wide at its narrowest point. Now imagine that this tiny strip of ocean controls the fate of the entire world's energy supply. Every single day, millions of barrels of oil flow through this passage. Oil that powers cars in Germany, factories in Japan, heating systems in Canada. This is the Strait of Hormuz, and in February 2026, Iran shut it down. What happened next sent shockwaves through every economy on Earth. Oil prices surged. Governments panicked. Millions of ordinary people felt the pain at the gas pump. This is the story of how one country used a single waterway as the most powerful weapon in the modern world. To understand why Hormuz matters so much, you first need to understand what it actually is. The Strait of Hormuz is a narrow passage between Iran to the north and Oman and the United Arab Emirates to the south. It connects the Persian Gulf, home to the world's largest oil reserves, to the open ocean. Before 2026, roughly 25% of all the world's seaborne oil trade passed through this single point every single day. 20% of the world's liquefied natural gas, LNG, also moved through here. We're talking about Saudi oil, Kuwaiti oil, Iraqi oil, Qatari gas. All of it funneled through the one narrow channel. Around 3,000 vessels use this strait every single month. Think of it like this. If you could shut a single valve and cut off energy to dozens of countries simultaneously, that valve is the Strait of Hormuz, and Iran sits right next to it. Iran has known for decades that this geographical reality is its greatest leverage over the world. The question was never if they would use it. The question was always when. February 28th, 2026. In the early hours of the morning, the United States and Israel launched a coordinated air campaign against Iran. The operation, codenamed Operation Epic Fury, targeted Iranian military facilities, nuclear sites, and in a decision that would change everything, it killed Iran's supreme leader, Ali Khamenei. The world held its breath. Iran's response came fast. Missile barrages struck Israeli cities. U.S. military bases in the Gulf were hit, in the UAE, Qatar, and Bahrain. But Iran's most devastating weapon wasn't a missile. It was a decision. On March 4th, 2026, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, the IRGC, made the announcement the world had feared for decades. They declared the Strait of Hormuz officially closed. IRGC commanders broadcast a message directly to ships in the strait over VHF radio. The message was simple and chilling. No ship is allowed to pass the Strait of Hormuz. Within days, tanker traffic dropped to almost nothing. The International Maritime Organization reported that 20,000 mariners and 2,000 ships were stranded inside the Persian Gulf. The world's oil supply had been switched off. The effects were immediate and brutal. Oil prices spiked overnight. Airlines began cutting routes. Governments started raiding their emergency reserves. According to data from the World Trade Organization, ships carrying crude oil through the Persian Gulf dropped by 90%. Liquefied natural gas. Shipments fell by 99%. Countries that depend on Gulf energy faced a terrifying reality. Their supplies were running out, and there was no easy alternative. Japan, which imports almost all of its energy, was hit especially hard. With Iran war-linked oil prices surging, Japan's import costs exploded. The yen crashed. Stagflation set in. Meanwhile, in Europe, nations that had worked for years to reduce dependence on Russian gas now found themselves scrambling again. The irony was painful Some countries were forced to burn more coal just to keep the lights on. But not everyone suffered. Two countries actually got richer. Russia, already selling oil outside Western sanctions, saw steady exports and a revenue increase of more than $15 billion. The United States saw an increase in its own oil exports, pocketing an estimated $50 billion in additional revenue. The Hormuz closure had accidentally turned America and Russia into the biggest winners of a war neither wanted to be fighting